So I think it's important to know what's happening in your industry, not just in Alabama if you're in Alabama,
Right.
but what's happening in New York if your industry is also in New York.
So why does that matter?
Because you always want to be ahead.
I know, so like I
Right.
said, we talk
Yes,
about,
yes.
when it comes to that
You always
marketing.
want to be ahead. You don't want to ride the wave. You want to create it.
So I have Christina Renteria here, and just tell us a little bit about who you are and your company as well.
Okay. So my name is Christina Renteria, if you're Latino, or if it's English, Renteria. I am from a little bit of everywhere. It's hard for me to say I'm just from one place because my mom was in ministry, and so we traveled a lot. So being like a preacher's kid, I went to 17 schools before I graduated high school. So
Whoa.
I'm a little bit from everywhere. My background is a little bit of everything, being multiracial, so a little bit of everything. But past that, I also went to law school, worked in corporate for a few years. Then I started my company, which I have now, which is PLIA. We just turned 9 years old. So PLIA is a full branding, marketing, and business development agency. And so the goal is to start you with a business strategy. And so that's more of my lane in the company. And then the team executes what that strategy cultivates. So if that's a campaign or a commercial or anything you see on social or not on social for traditional marketing, then they execute that part.
Excellent.
I'm also a mother. Super proud of that. Had my baby girl, Catalina. She is my little miracle baby. Because I was told I couldn't have children.
Oh,
and then
excellent.
31 hit, and I had her. And I'm an auntie. I love my mom. And I have a fur baby.
Gotcha.
And
So
I love my company.
So when it came to you building your company, like how did you move out of corporate America into owning your own business?
I didn't move out. They were like, oh, we don't need you no more. So I don't have that story of, oh, I had that day and I just quit and walked out and said, I don't want to work here anymore. They were like, yeah, we're downsizing, and so we're going to have to let you go. And I was like, okay, because what they did not know, that happened in October. And what I had created was a June escape for next June. But it was for next June. I wasn't planning for October. And so when they said that, it was kind of like okay, this kind of got to get moving a little bit faster than I thought. I had already started doing work and working with people. And back in the day, 9 years ago, it was a blog. That's before vlogging was a thing.
Right.
So I would put things on my blog to kind of help and give information out and tips and things like that. Because you didn't have a lot of video content that you could put out. YouTube was there, but it wasn't like that platform.
Man, if we had started then.
I think about that all the time. Because, a decade ago, you really just had blogging.
Right.
And that's when you had like WordPress or blogger.com because those were the only two platforms for bloggers. And so it started there. And then I started working with like professionals and helping them with their like personal brand and having themselves looking great. And when they had to be on the news or had to do conference or something like that, then their brand was looking amazing, or PR work. And then it just kind of grew from there. Literally a $50 client to like multiple six-figure clients now.
Oh, beautiful.
Amazing.
Okay. So if you were trying to help somebody that was interested in doing what you do, what would be the first thing you would tell them to do?
So are they coming in as a client, or are they coming in as someone that wants to learn the industry?
So if somebody wanted to learn the industry,
I would tell them to have thick skin.
Okay. Why is that?
Because in our industry, if you're doing anything in the marketing, branding, business development industry, there are so many people that do it or wake up one day and want to do it because now everything is considered marketing. When it's not considered marketing. And it's also an industry where you don't technically have to go in with any type of level of education. And so anyone wakes up and tomorrow they're a marketing professional or a marketing guru, or they're the GOAT because they just named themselves that. And so I would tell them to have thick skin because you're going to come against a lot of people with negativity. They're probably not going to have trust for you. And they're not going to really think you can do it until you prove yourself multiple times. And so if you're just waiting for like a quick come up and you think it's just going to be fun all the time, that's like maybe 10% of it is fun. The rest of it is a lot of thought process and really thinking beyond what you see and what can be. And a lot of people just look at it right now. Okay, I want to get 10,000 followers. Well, that's my goal. And never really the depths of what goes into actually getting 10,000 followers.
Right.
Like, how are you going to get them? Why do you even want them?
And what type of followers will they be?
Right, and what type of followers? Because followers does not equate to money. I don't have a very large following on Instagram, but I have very large clients.
Right.
And so people work with me. They're like, well, you don't have 20, 50, 100,000 followers. I'm like, that's true, but that's not my audience.
Right.
Because I'm more business to business. Now with me focusing more on helping smaller businesses in that level 1 to 2, 4 phase, I'm now focusing more on social because I know that's where they are at.
Gotcha.
But for more bigger corporation things, a lot of their CEOs are not really on social, or the decision maker is not on there. So backing it up a little bit, having thick skin, really trying to be the subject matter expert in your field and niche, that's really big.
So before you move any further,
I did a lot.
So no. When you say niche,
Yes.
everybody's my client. How do you tackle that mindset?
That's where that subject matter expert comes in.
Okay.
And really doing your market research on that industry.
Okay.
You would think I would just go right into the legal industry since that's my background. Well, yes, I help attorneys, but I think digest information a lot differently than most people. So I work with egg dispensaries, clothing agencies, hair, makeup, construction, government contracting, you name it. But I also love market research.
Right.
So I can go into your industry and find out more about it probably than you because you're working in it.
Right.
I have hours to just learn and research about your industry, what's going on, what happened 25 years ago in your industry, what happened during recessions, because usually the past can tell you how the future is going to look usually.
Absolutely.
So you can really digest how a company or how our industry functions. You can really foreshadow what's going to happen usually in the future with that company.
And you talked about your phases. So like dive into that a little bit deeper. How many phases do you have in your process?
You mean like for the business strategy process?
Correct.
Or the different type of...
Like in your business strategy, like how many phases do you go
So I am an overachiever and probably do too much work, but I'd rather know more about a company or more about an industry than not know enough.
Okay.
Because the goal is for me to be that subject matter expert for you to help you actually build profit. So I have about 16 phases when I do an actual business strategy because I'm doing market research. I'm looking at your competition, not just locally, but regionally, nationally, everywhere to see what's happening. Because America, we're a little behind when it comes to some things. So I think it's important to know what's happening in your industry, not just in Alabama if you're in Alabama,
Right.
but what's happening in New York if your industry is also in New York.
So why does that matter?
Because you always want to be ahead.
I know, so like I
Right.
said, we talk
Yes,
all,
yes.
when it comes to that
You
marketing.
always want to be ahead. You don't want to ride the wave. You want to create it.
Absolutely.
And so if you're in the South or in a city where they're not doing things at a certain level and you actually start doing it first, now you look like the leader in that industry.
Absolutely.
Even though they may have done that in New York 2 years ago, but they haven't done it here.
Right.
Where your clientele is at.
I like it.
And then let's say you look a little further and they're doing something in Tokyo. Well, Tokyo is like 10 years ahead of America. So if you're doing things they're doing in Tokyo, now you're like really a leader in your industry, not just in the United States, but from a whole entire nation standpoint.
Gotcha. So how do you take all of that information and break it down to where a business owner who I just want to do what I love to do, how do you make it palatable for them?
So it's in digestible segments. So yes, you make it like a very big, long 100-page presentation, but it's for you to understand really what your industry is. And a lot of times people pivot once they start really realizing what it's going to take for them to get to that $1 million goal. Or they realize, okay, I can't do this by myself. I got to probably get some partners. And that doesn't mean they're paid partners. They may just be resource partners, right? And so it really just helps them really understand what is it going to truly take for their goals. Because everyone plans. They're like, oh, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. But taking that next step to say, what does it really take to get there? That's what most people don't do.
Absolutely.
And that's where that strategy comes in at. Because it's literally a roadmap, an outline for you. You just got to do the work.
Absolutely. So when it comes to doing the work and going through that process, you outline it, kind of show them the blueprint step by step.
They have a whole implementation guide.
Okay.
So it literally tells them what to do, what to say, and how to do it.
And then, so what's the time frame generally for someone that's working with you when it comes to getting that roadmap? Is this something they can implement in days, weeks, months? Is this something that's months, years?
Usually in the onboarding process, I'm going to give you a quick strategy for you to start getting some money to come in, because I want you to have a return on your investment. I don't want you to feel like I gave you this money and I haven't made any of it back. And so literally the onboarding call, I'm like, you need to do this, because I've already researched your company. If I can find as much information I can on it, I'm going to look at that. I'm going to also ask you to send some things over so I can review as well, like your profit and loss statement. I'm going to ask you to send over your business model canvas, things like that, to make sure you're structurally ready to actually grow.
Oh, man. And if I'm not, then what do you do?
Then we have a 2-week prerequisite period.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that way, in those 2 weeks, it's like, okay, we're going to get these things done first, because you can't build something on an unstable foundation.
Oh, man, you said something else. So, and we've talked. So with the things that we do with marketing and things of that nature, our software, things like that, we tend to have to help business owners pivot, to those things. Hey, you're really not ready to, go full-fledged into this aspect of your strategy right now. You don't know who you are. You don't know who you're serving. You don't know any of those things.
They just know they want to make money.
That's it. I want to get paid. They said
right now.
Your software can do it, so give it to me.
They're coming to you with a lot of dreams.
Yes. And then, and with us wanting to help people, with us, that was one of the things that I had to step back myself, because I would find myself wanting to help so much that it would actually be a hindrance, because now I'm having to help you to manage your company when that's really not my role.
And that's why I try to be very clear, because a lot of times people come to you for help because they really don't know what they're doing. They know a little bit to get started, but they don't really know how to get that business to where it needs to be able to run without them. And so, realistically, they're not building companies. They're actually just building a job for themselves.
Indeed.
And so my goal is to help them first see that.
Right.
Because if you can't identify that within yourself first, anything I say to you, you're going to feel like I'm targeting you or coming at you
attack.
or, attacking you or being disrespectful. And I have to remind them, I'm here to help you. But if you have, and I say this all the time, if you have trust issues in real life, you're going to have trust issues over here in business.
Oh, man.
If you don't know how to talk to people in real life, then you're going to more likely not know how to talk to me.
Correct.
If you think everyone's against you in real life, then you paying me is only making it worse, because now you feel like you own me for the duration of this project. And so when I start seeing those things, I give you your money back.
Indeed. Oh, yeah. Refund policies are great.
And I sent a nice little letter with it. It's legally protected. And if I've already created content for you and done work for you, you can have it.
Oh, yeah. We've done that.
This is yours.
No problem.
And have a wonderful, blessed day.
Absolutely.
But you have to learn how to respect, especially if you're in a service-based business, because all you do is deal with people. And people come first when you're a service-based business.
Absolutely. And
It's
that's
not the product. It's not the profit.
Biggest
it's
issue.
the people.
100%. I think that, and when we talk with business owners, that's the biggest issue that I find is that the focus is always on the money and not on the product or service that you have. And if you focus on how the product or service will provide value and just put the emphasis on that,
Right.
the money will come.
Easy.
But it's so difficult to make that correlation for a lot of business owners.
Because most people are from a business, not business owner mindset, but working in a business mindset. So it's more of an employee mindset instead of an employer.
Right.
And so when you've worked your entire life, whether that was your first job was McDonald's or, fast food restaurant or at the mall or whatever, that's where you have your foundation as a person. So when you start working for yourself, you're expecting it to be the same thing, but you don't realize that company you work for has already been, like the groundwork's already been done.
Correct.
You're just coming in for that one job they need you to do.
100%.
And so when you try to come into business being at their level, you've missed a lot of steps.
Correct. Yes, and it can be detrimental to your
Yes.
to your progress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it slows you down from actually making that profit because you're trying to skip steps when you got to come back later on and do them anyway.
And it can actually hinder your customers as well. So that when I talk with business owners, that's one of the biggest issues that we discuss. If you don't do it right now, then you may be able to help 10, 15, 20 people, 100 people, 1,000 people. But think about how much better your business would be if you actually did it the right way first. How many more people you would be able to help and help the right way from the beginning.
So I'm going to ask you a question. I know you're...
Sure.
But you said the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So what gives you the audacity to tell people they're doing it the wrong way? Because this is the question people ask me. Once they've hired me to help them, why do you have the audacity to tell them it's the wrong way?
It's easy. You told me what your goal is. If you tell me your goal is A, and the path from where you are to here is this path, this is the answer. If you don't follow these steps, you will not get this result.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I do understand why they ask because I get the same thing, but the answer is simple. You told me, I'm just giving you what you told me.
Right.
You told me you want to get to 100K, 200K, a million, 500K, whatever it is. In order to get there, right now you're doing this, this, and this. In order to get there, it's math. In order to get take what you're doing now, we exponentially increase it by whatever increment you want to go with, and it'll get us to this goal. If you don't want to do that, that's different. But that's typically what the issue is. People want the answer as long as it fits within the scope of what they want to discuss or how they feel as a person or who they are. They don't want to learn new skills or, take on, a new persona or, learn how to be a better or different person because they're content with where they are.
And I think it goes back from a culture perspective before we officially started the interview. I think it goes back to, we talked about just our generation and how we have been taught
the best generation anyway.
The best generation ever.
Just so you know.
Ever. We got taught the morals and principles of our parents who are a little bit older. But then we also saw how the generations literally shift before our eyes. And when we were growing up, we were kind of, when I was growing up, I can't speak for everyone, but I was always taught to do things with decency and order.
Right.
My mom pounded it in my head, like literally. And it's funny because now me being a parent and older and also in business, that's the first thing in my forefront when I'm doing anything. Do things with decency and order.
Right.
I don't really think that's taught. Now it's just like, it's okay to be who you are and you don't have to change for anybody or anything. And it's like, but you have to understand, everyone that you look up to, they are not the same person when they first started.
Correct.
My favorite, Jeezy, he's not the same Jeezy now than when he first started.
Correct. And he says that.
Yes.
Yes. Because he don't have the same information to talk about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when I hear someone say, well, I don't want to change or I don't have to do all that, it just lets me know you're really not ready.
Oh, yeah. And it's so funny when you say that. My favorite artist is Andre 3000. So As you may, yeah. He definitely is not the same person he was.
Do you like the album?
Yes, it's good. It's good.
Okay.
But it's an acquired taste. Let's say that. It is an acquired taste. But yes, so it is very, very interesting, But like you're saying, you have to evolve. And if you don't, then the only person you're hurting is yourself.
And then the worst thing happens is they start making money, but when their reality is they're beta testing with people's money.
Oh, yes.
And I'm like, don't do that.
Right.
Like, I love the fact that I had $50 clients back in the day.
Right.
Because that gave me time to get it right.
Oh, yeah.
It gave me time to fail, but not to a place where it's just going to be devastating that they lost $50. And getting that like criticism and feedback to help you grow, like, it's not a bad thing.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't do something right, ask them, how can it be better? 100%. What did you do wrong? What were their expectations? I think a lot of things can be, prevented if we just ask people straight up, like, what's your expectations of this?
I do that with every new product.
Yes.
Like, every time we drop a new product.
What do you think I'm doing for you before we get started?
Correct.
And you think I'm about to be posting to your social media
That's
and answering the phone. Like, I looked at people that was like, well, why you can't come in the office and answer the phone for me? And I'm like, I don't do that.
Where they do that?
You're not going to come in the warehouse and package what now? No, I don't do that.
Yeah, but like when we release new services or things like that, and I tell business owners this as well, that, I will offer something free with the expectation that I get responses, reviews, testimonials, things like that, because that's the feedback I need in order to improve. And even if when you go through that process, I've given you this for free, or we used to do websites for free, or this or that, or whatever the case may be. Well, we're taking this new approach on how we're doing stuff. I don't know if it's going to rank in SEO the same way that it was with the other websites we were doing. So let's try this out. We take 2, 3, 5 clients when we released and, just started our software. All of the clients that we had, we went to all of them and said that we will give you, basically a 90-day trial just to tell us what it is. You don't have to pay anything. And then after that, then we started offering, once we knew we had everything dialed in, then we started offering it, and then we increased the price as we knew that everything increased with the services. So, yeah, it's important, vitally important.
Right.
Okay. Well, as we finalize and finish up everything, the last question that I want to ask is, if anyone is interested in, working with you or finding out more information about you, what's the best way for them to do that?
They can literally call, text. They can look up on the website and actually go to services and book a consultation. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'm not one who's like, oh, don't contact me. Like, it's business. You got to contact me somewhere.
Right.
There's also lead pages on my platform, so you can go straight to the services you want. So thepliabrand.com, that's the website, or you can text to be part of the community, 205-734-1201. And then on social media, on all of them, I am Christina L. Renteria.
Love it. Okay. Thank you.
I'm happy to be here.